So either one will work. I'm going to talk tonight about some of the disasters that they've been getting into over in New Orleans and Louisiana. And, of course, one of the big ones being that the Red Cross and other help agencies that have tried to get into the city were turned away by FEMA. You know, FEMA wasn't anywhere in the city, but on the outside, it's keeping people from getting in. And so that's why there's such an uproar in this country from residents seeing that none of these people are getting help. And the government that's supposedly supposed to be down there, that no one can see visible anywhere, was basically serving an opposite end of keeping any kind of help and relief getting out. So it kind of shows a purposeful negligence by our government for people to die, for people to suffer. And so there's going to be a lot of anger and a lot of questions coming out over this. You know, why was FEMA keeping help from getting in? Why were they rejecting aid from all of the cities that offered aid? Why were they doing a lot of things to hurt people more than help? And so one of the things I did read today was that the governor of Louisiana hired the former head of FEMA, and I can't remember his name, but he was an appointee by Bill Clinton back during his administration, who had been fired and replaced by this Brown, this guy that's head of FEMA now, who's been a complete incompetent joke. He's still in charge of FEMA, but what the governor of Louisiana did was hire Nixon's ex-head of FEMA. Probably one of the smartest things she's done. So yeah, like I said, there's going to be a lot of finger-pointing going on at the same time. Just a lot of complicit acts by the government itself to sabotage any help aid down there. So a lot of questions being asked. One of the whistleblowers from the government and also from people down there talking about communications lines in and around New Orleans purposely being jammed and cut by the U.S. government. The jamming is having an adverse impact on emergency, disaster recovery, and news media communications. It was even affecting police radio frequencies in Jefferson Parish. And, of course, he has talked about some of the things going down in Jefferson Parish. The head of it, Aaron Broussard, told Meet the Press that FEMA had cut his emergency communication lines and he had to have his sheriff restore the severed lines and post armed deputies to ensure that FEMA didn't try to cut the communication lines again. Broussard's statement was being yesterday FEMA comes in and cuts all of our emergency communication lines. They cut them without notice. Our sheriff, Harry Lee, goes back in, he reconnects the line, he posts armed guards on our line and says no one is getting near these lines. And so you see the sheriff's departments down there having to post their own armed guards to protect their communication lines from FEMA, who wants to come in and cut them. So why is FEMA trying to sabotage communication lines in New Orleans? Why is FEMA trying to keep help from coming inside the city instead of allowing them in to take food and water to the people that were stranded at the Dome, at the convention center, on the bridges? No help was allowed to get to these people, and it's all going to come back to FEMA. And, of course, you know what my opinion is of FEMA. I've done a Bible code on FEMA, and this is the organization itself. It kind of evolved over time. It had always been a help organization. It's always been an organization, and now it's a federal agency, part of the Homeland Security, that steps in when there's a natural disaster to help the people. And now all of a sudden they've taken a role to where they're nothing more than a stumbling block to the people. They're not helping the people. They're forbidding aid and help from getting to the people. And this is one of these agencies that I've seen in the last days that the Antichrist will use to enforce people to get to receive the mark of the beast, to enforce worship of the beast. You know, the Bible doesn't say that if you don't receive the mark of the beast, they'll kill you. But it says you can't buy or sell anything to end up starving to death if you don't get it. But you will be killed if you don't worship the image of the beast. And it's this FEMA agency that's going to be overtaken by the Antichrist armies that will be going around ensuring that people are worshiping the image of the beast. And I don't know if this is some kind of a visible worship, exactly how it's going to happen. But this is one of the arms of the Antichrist, that he's going to be able to use one of these agencies that will be working for the Antichrist in the last days. Other things going on. Give me a call, folks, 260-356-2611, if you have a comment or question. A lot of questions being, could Katrina have been redirected to intentionally strike New Orleans? Was the city strategically targeted because of its oil refining capabilities, thus providing the perfect excuse to drive gas prices to astronomical heights? And we know it was. I mean, this scenario was outlined in the latest TV movie entitled Oil Storm, which had been shown on cable several weeks ago, taking place during Labor Day weekend. Where the event happened Labor Day weekend. And so, actually they had it happening the Labor Day weekend. And so actually it happened a week before. And so this movie, part of conditioning, what they'll do is tell you their plans. And so one of the things that they've done, go ahead and tell you what they're going to do. They did it in that movie. Another one being the one about Houston, which I would assume is going to be next, where Houston is targeted for destruction, so that the oil refining capabilities are destroyed there. So you take out Houston's oil, you take out New Orleans, and America's strapped on oil. Also, some speculation, not even speculation, but allegedly 25 people witnessing the fact that the levees were blown up so that the water would get into the city. And so, because you see a lot of people on the roofs and stuff, a lot of people who had thought, hey, I can make it through a hurricane, survived through the wind damage, and then 2 days later is when the floodwaters came in. Because the levees broke loose. People saying the levees weren't broke loose. People saying that bombs took out the levees, causing the water to go in and destroy the city. So at least 25 people saying that they saw people blowing up the New Orleans levees after the main storm had subsided, and that was what allowed the water to go in. Looking through some of this information here. Some of the things that I had seen being one of the reasons the government was being so inept is that the New World Order, and we've said it from the beginning, that death and suffering is what they're in business for, to prolong the deaths. Put in implementations that these steps that would kill time, take up time, to where people couldn't get needy help because they had to go through bureaucratic red tape first. That was another stall strategy, because there was nothing a lot of these the mayor could do or the government could do without getting approval. And a lot of this was stalled. It was red tape to death. Listening calling line, folks, 260-356-2611. Give me a call to comment, question. I'm going to jump back to this because, first I want to say thank you to the 23 countries that did offer aid. ABC News reported that Bush denied all help from 23 countries. NATO and the